Hey, I said that we are going to use a new rubric for this essay, and you are watching this video because you're curious about that. So I just wanted to give a little bit more structure as to why I'm doing this and why it's looking different. So one of the things that I like about the yes tests is that they give you this sort of very easy checklist of things to go down and see if you have included. However, that's also something that I don't love about the yes tests because it encourages you to look at an essay as simply a list of boxes that you need to check off and things that you need to throw in and fill. And that's not really representative of the best kind of writing. And as most of us are ready to kind of move on to better writing, I think it's important that we change the way that we look at writing essays as more of a spectrum of something that's done well versus something that's done maybe not so well. And so if you're looking at the rubric, which I assume that you are if you're watching this video, you'll notice that it's no longer a simple yes or a no. We're no longer at it has it or it doesn't. Rather, your completion of each item is in a range of possibilities from 1 to 5, starting at a 1, which is inadequate. Often means that it's completely missing, not there, or very, very, poorly done, all the way up to exceptional, which is going to be college level, knock my socks off, unbelievable work. What we're shooting for is a 3. That's going to be solid job where you do well and you've done something that's impressive and worthwhile. Um, I think that this is better than a simple yes or no because it allows for more interplay between, when something is done skillfully versus when something is just kind of thrown together. And it lets you look at your work more clearly and in a more academic way than, oh, did I check this box off or did I not check this box off? It lets you kind of identify the strengths of your paper more clearly and the strengths of your peers as you look at each other's. There are some things that I also took over from those yes tests in this new rubric, including some of the categories and some of the overall structure of the rubric itself. So as you can see, the rubric is broken up into introduction and conclusion, body paragraphs, and language control, or thesis prompt development and language control. And that was purposeful because it's still important to look at these parts of your essays in terms of how it is structured. So that first bit is going to talk about your introductions and your conclusions, which means your claim. How clear, compelling, specific is it? How much do you let your reader understand where your argument is going in the introduction? Or do you just kind of throw a thesis at them and run and hope they keep reading your essay? Um, Next is the development section. And this is really, I think, where this rubric shines and lets you kind of identify where you are in the spectrum of really good writing and writing that can improve. So on the left side, you'll see that there's still those categories: topic sentence, commentary, structure, conclusion sentences, and counterclaims. And within there are all of these different descriptions of when these are done well and when these are not done quite so well. I think some of the language in the yes test, and again, that checkbox mentality of yes or no, restricted me from being able to really fully help you understand what makes your writing good and effective versus not. So, yes, you still need to have a topic sentence, but if you look at the 5 description, it's persuasively written, sets the stage for the evidence and the argument to come. At proficient, yes, it does begin with a topic sentence. And then as you get poorer, maybe it starts with concrete detail instead of a topic sentence. Maybe you don't have topic sentences. As you move down to evidence and concrete details, rather than having specific requirements for the number of paragraphs in your essay in the rubric itself, I really just am trying to get you to feel and understand when an essay is developed. Now, in this revenge essay, you will see that there are frames and it structures it with two chunk body paragraphs plus a counterclaim paragraph. And if you want to stick to that, that is fine. However, what I'm really hoping is that you will be able to tell and see when your argument is actually really developed well. Again, that checkbox mentality of I've done 2 chunks, perfect, moving on, I've done 2 chunks, perfect, moving on, doesn't really lead you to feel like you need to put yourself in your reader's shoes and think, hey, have I really convinced them? Have I given them an argument that is persuasive? Or have I just kind of written down some sentences and moved along? And that's why I'm switching to this, because length is definitely a part of development. Absolutely. A longer essay is probably going to be more well developed. But it also encourages you to write a lot more fluff. And some of you are really good at writing sentences that don't mean anything to add length. And I want to cut that out because that is not useful. Um, it I think that this rubric more successfully explains what commentary's job is in terms of how it's supposed to not just repeat the evidence, not just explain the evidence, but really connect the evidence and show how that evidence proves the point really clearly. It talks about structure and how the structure of your essay is really important, how it can lead your reader through or be very confusing. And it talks more about the purposes of the conclusion sentence and including your counterclaims in there. As we get down to language control, I remove some of the specific requirements about types of sentences that you use and things like that. And I added a couple of really important areas. So first we have syntax, sentence structure. We've had this before, except now it's kind of more, do you use a variety of sentence types, or are you pretty much depending on simple sentence, simple sentence, simple sentence? I added cohesion in there, and cohesion means how everything fits together. All the way on the exceptional side there, you see that it's described as feeling like a gift wrapped present that is clearly and compellingly connected and persuasive. Every single piece of the essay connects, and every single piece of the essay makes sense, and every single piece of the essay works toward proving your point. That has to do with how you transition from one idea to the other, and that has to do, honestly, with how effective your commentary is, how much it links everything back to your thesis. And that thesis should be a beautiful golden thread going all the way through your essay that your reader will always be reminded of and is always very clear, clearly related to what you are saying in any given paragraph, honestly, any given sentence. There are the usual ones there that you would expect: grammar and spelling, formatting, MLA format. But there's also a couple here that I wanted to be specific on. First, we have voice. Voice is really the next level in writing well. All of you have been writing for a lot of your academic lives, and you have learned student voice, student robot voice. And what I mean is you don't sound like a person. You say, as you can see from the evidence given in the beep, 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 boop, boop, and you don't have your own personality. I think that happens a lot because when we talk about formality in an essay, a lot of students think that means kind of robot level. You can still be formal and inject your personality, inject your own sort of self into your writing in a way that is effective, compelling, and persuasive. And that's what I want you to start thinking about how to do. So, yes, it does need to be formal, but just because it's formal, it doesn't mean that you have to be, very stiff, like you're talking to the queen. You can be formal, be student, be academic, and still have your own personality. And finally, that last one that is a lot more straightforward is quote integration. Um, Integrating quotes is really important, and I'm still seeing way too many people just kind of dropping a quote in without any context, and not correctly punctuating it, not correctly citing where it came from. And you really need to make sure that you do that, because if you're not correctly citing, if you're not correctly integrating a quote, it really damages your credibility as a writer and doesn't make you seem like you know what you're talking about. And so when I say integration, I mean you need to give me a transition. You need to give me a lead in where you tell me who is talking, what is this in reference to, how might this connect. You might throw in a little bit of commentary as you introduce your quote to get your reader in the right space to interpret the evidence the way that you want them to. So make sure that you are not just dropping in quotes, dropping in information without clearly connecting it to the argument that you're making. So that's the new rubric. Let me know if you have any further questions or comments or concerns. I know this was kind of a long one, but go down to the little gear and fast forward my voice, make me talk really fast. And of course, if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer any emails. I have my office hours from 10 to 11 on Zoom, and of course, we can also have any meetings privately that you would like to set up over Zoom as well. Thank you so much. Happy writing.